Okay.
No, I do that for a living. That's what we do.
Anyway, I hear. Okay, so we have a steer between on Chav Beis and Alf. We have a steer between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda, and also between Rabban and Rabbanan, because they seem to be going against their previously stated issues and positions. So the Gemara says no, not at all. If you understand the issues of two houses on two opposite sides of Rosh Boulevard are very different than the issue that we had in the Mishnah of the multitudes walking through the Pasei Bureaus. You cannot compare the two cases. Why not? Rabbanan, one second. Kasha Derubida, Kasha Rabbanan. Derubida, low Kasha, 3 lines to the bottom, on Chav Beis and Aleph. Tana Kasha, from one Rabbi Yehuda and the other. Hasam Dika Shtei Mechitza Ismail Yisa. Because there you have two mechitzas. He holds midaraisa. That's all you need are two mechitzas. If you have what you need, then you're good to go. Here you don't have those two valid mechitzas, and therefore you cannot compare the two cases. Because by pasi biros, okay, the reason why the multitude comes in and breaks it is because you really don't have the guidelines that you're supposed to have. You have way too much break the opening than walls, and therefore, since you're relying on a really much more makeshift situation, here you have two really solid walls. It's only two, but it's according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's all you need to separate it away from being Rishus Rabbim. So therefore, you can't compare. Rabbanan Ami lo kasha. Okay, the Rabbanan also is not a contradiction. Hacha ikasham abra mechitzas, because they look at it the other way. At least by pasi bros, you have 4 legit mechitzas. You might not like the fact that there's such a big break in the middle, but you have 4 legit mechitzas based on the cropping areas. Every single east, west, north, and south has an amma on each corner going into its direction, and that gives you a legitimacy of having 4 mechitzas, as maybe makeshift as it might be, and therefore that's why you cannot break the Rabbim. The Rishus Ram doesn't break with these multitudes going in. Okay, he says halcha ikashem arba mechitzas hasam lekasham dal mechitzas. But in the case of the two houses opposite Wilshire, those lechis are not really considered a valid wall. They're not something of substance that can give you. You're not like 2 amis here by the Pasi Bros. You have an am on each side. That's chaticha uskabitz. It's choshev. It does something. But over here, where you got 2 lechis, that's a complete joke, as a relatively speaking, and therefore it's not so much that the multitudes break the rishus, is that you never really had a legitimate rishus hayach in the first place. Okay, let's do the Rashi. Chayavin Aleha, where is that? Looks like that's Viter.
That's by Yerushalayim.
Right, which is Viter, right?
No, it's Yerushalayim.
Okay, fine. Right, so you see that the Rabbim does come and knock off the mechitza. Hacha, next Rashi, that was in the last Gemara. Hacha ikasham dal mechitzos sheish shtei amos heker hekef dofen l'chol. Okay, you have 2 amos in each side, which is a valid recognition of a wall. Okay, it's 2 amos in total length, and that's it does even though it's not connected, it's on 2 sides, but it does do something. Okay, fine. And but over here, when you don't have the 4 mechitzas, you've got just 2 houses on both sides of Wilshire. And you're going to put up 2 posts, 2 little mashu posts on each side of the house, and you expect that to be considered 2 more walls? No. And therefore, it never lost its status of Rishus Harabim, and that's why it's not a steer in the Rabbanan either. Okay, so let's go right to 2 lines from the bottom. Amar of Yitzchak bar Yosef, Amar of Yochanan, Eretz Yisrael ein chayavin olam mishum Rishus Harabim. Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef says, the name of Yochanan, that in Eretz Yisrael you're not chayiv for Rishus Harabim. That's what you call a sweeping statement. That there's no such thing as a Rishus Harabim in Eretz Yisrael, which sounds like that's a tough one to swallow. What does that mean? Yosef Rav Dimi Kamalei Lo Shmaitza. So Rav Dimi was sitting and saying over this statement of Rav Yochanan that there is no such thing as Rishus Rabim in Eretz Yisrael, only a Bailer of Dimi. So Rabbi says for Dimi, I'd like to understand why. My timer. Why would that be? Why would there be no Rishus Rabim in Eretz Yisrael? Ilema mishum the makefla suma the tzur mehachkisa umachtana the goder mi the geder mehachkisa. If it's because you have certain high, very high peaks and sort of mountainous terrain that form one side of Eretz Yisrael, and that those mountains are if they form a wall, they're steep in nature, and those walls, in a sense, surround one of the sides, and also the fact that you have umachtana de geder mehachkisa. Okay, you've also got very steep terrain going down, like cliffs and stuff, or maybe even. Let's see Rashi here. Let's go back to Rashi for a minute. Sama Detsur, Salahar Gavoa Saviv. You got a very tall, mountainous, rocky terrain on one side. Saviv all around Eretz Yisrael. Lalois boy Eretz Yisrael Ugava Yutfachim. So in a sense, Eretz Yisrael has actually a wall around it. Okay, yeah, that's what you call.
It's a valley. I mean, like what we have here. We have mountains all around us.
Right. Okay. So those mountains are
Well, then they have the ocean. I guess you got the mountains and the ocean on one side.
well, right now we're focusing on the Salma Tzur. Okay, Kain Nira Lafia and this is his feeling that this is what it's referring to. So that mountainous rocky terrain that is very steep and forms a wall. That's one side of Eretz Yisrael. Umachtana.
The top should be flat, right? It's la'alos, right? It increases the elevation, and then the top of it is just flat. There isn't a valley on the other side of it.
Right, we're right. I mean, we're just looking at.
To your point, there's no valley on the other side. It just goes up, and that's it. And that because it's on the other side, it goes down enough so that considers the partition.
Right, the mountains are the partition.
The cliff is the partition.
On one side.
Yeah, but it doesn't. On the other side, it doesn't go down.
So this is Yerushalayim that they're talking about because it's on the mountain.
No, it's all over Eretz Yisrael. Right. In other words, again, the Jews are not on the Yam HaGadol. That's just to make Ephraim's point clearer. Right, the Jews are not on the Yam HaGadol. The Jews are on the land on the other side.
So that's Yerushalayim.
Well, you have
up in the mountains.
All Eretz. No.
All of Tel Aviv is down.
Well, again, I mean.
And then if you go to the Dead Sea, you're at the lowest point on earth.
I don't know why he happened to pick the Yam HaGadol as. I don't know. I guess maybe in those days, things maybe change. I don't know. In other words, you're just arguing Mitzvah. So right now, if you go to the Yam HaGadol, you go to the Mediterranean. Do you have to have this down? Do you hit this cliff?
No.
Well, whatever. Theoretically, you do. At least. I mean, I would never.
We're talking about going up to Yerushalayim because Yerushalayim's up in the hills.
Yeah, but let's focus on Eretz Yisrael, not Yerushalayim. We're focusing on Eretz Yisrael. The entire land of Eretz Yisrael, however and it's much more than just Yerushalayim, is surrounded on one side by this very steep terrain that is mountainous, so it goes down. Okay, let's see. Umachtana, okay, and the other side, Umachtana morit chritz amuk yutfachim, v'rochav dalid, savav Eretz Yisrael me'idach gisa. On the other side, you have a steep downward slope into sort of like a open area, like a rocky opening, like a cliff downward. Okay, Moritz Chritz Amuk Yutfach and V'rochav Dal Saver Tzom Idakisa. We have a mechitza, and that becomes a mechitza. Unihi the Asl Taltel Midrabanon, and granted while it's Asl to Mitaltel Midrabanon, Miulavish Yisram Deraisihi Lachjuvi Allah. It's not considered Rishus Rabim to be able to be chayiv you for it. Okay, I mean whatever. I mean we saw his diagram. I would have said that what he's saying there is a second case. That's what I would have said if I was making diagrams, which I'm not. But in other words, it sounds like the two sides. One is higher and one is lower, right? And those are the two sides. So the one that's lower really should have been the rocky area that goes down, and then you have the high when you're actually surrounded like we are. in the valley between mountains. So I'm not sure. What he has there as far as his diagrams, but it seems from Rashi that the two sides. There's basically Gemara saying, why are you not considering Eretz Yisrael Yisrael? And the Gemara and Abai seems to be supposing that it's because you're surrounded to legitimately, right, Machtara together. So that's going down, okay, right. So okay, which is really similar to that other diagram. I'm not sure the difference between, unless he wanted to show a diagram where the Jews are down below by the Yamagadol as opposed to being on top. So, okay, but bottom line, it really boils down to being surrounded. You can either be surrounded by cliffy terrain that goes down from where you are, and then the walls go straight up, or you can be surrounded by actual mountains, which also can form your walls. So, is that your argument? That's why there's no Rishus Rabbin in Eretz Yisrael? So one more time, back to the Gemara. He says, Bavel Nami, if that's the case, Bavel Nami makif pras mehach gisa, v'digelos mehach gisa. If you want to use that as an argument, then what about Bavel? You stated Eretz Yisrael has no Rishus Rabbin, but Bavel does, and Bavel also surrounded by the Euphrates on one side and the Tigris on the other side. So you've got two rivers also that I guess are slopey down in nature, and that should form walls. If you want to be so, grandiose about it, mamish, look at the big picture of an entire country being surrounded by walls. Well, then you got to knock out Bavel as well from being Rishus Rabbim. Okay, one more time, Bavel nami makiv lo pras me'agisa v'digels me'agisa. Okay, and the kulyam, and furthermore, the kulyam nami makif ukainis. Don't the oceans surround all the? Okay, we're getting the global view here. Okay, don't all the waters surround every country and every continent? Ultimately, all continents are surrounded by rivers. By oceans. So, I guess you got. I guess they're all called ukainis. It's not like Pacific and Atlantic like we have here. It's all It's all oceans. So. It seems very difficult to understand why this should be enough to qualify as negating Rishus Rabbin, because you've got this incredibly vast area surrounded by slopey situations. That shouldn't be enough. Okay, to which Gemara answers, Dilma malos umordos kamrit. Abaye says, so maybe let me understand Rabbi Yochanan a little bit better, a little bit clearer, that I think what you're referring to are the milos and mordos, the elevational steps and roads, the high roads and the low roads, very steepy roads. We're not talking about this, big picture kind of situation, but we're talking about specifically those roads in Yerushalayim that do have people traveling through it. That's I consider Rishus Rabbin because of its steep nature. Okay, look at Rashi. Malos and mordos Shabbos Shabbat Amrid. We are referring to the malos and mordos in Eretz Yisrael, not Eretz Yisrael as a whole entity. That would be way too bold of a statement to make, but rather the steepy roads that are in it. I would imagine that the road up to Tzfat, that we all remember as those bus drivers would be taking those hair turn pins at 30 miles an hour. So that would qualify, but what's the point here? You're not chayiv if you traverse in those roads for carrying Rishus Rabbim. The Lonicha Drisa Ditu, it's not an easy road. It's not like you call Wilshire Boulevard is open and moves quickly and smoothly, and it's wide and it's geschmack. And you want to have a parade on Wilshire, you got plenty of room to maneuver. Here you don't have that. V'loi have Rishus Rabbim. You can't qualify a narrow road that pretty much has you in single file as Rishus Rabbim. Despite the multitudes that might go through those roads, that's not going to cut it. I know he doesn't have the pictures of those roads. I'm not sure. Okay, but fine. So that's what Abaye claims Rabbi Yochanan must have meant when he made the statement. To which Amalei, he answered him back. I guess it was Rav Dimi. Rav Dimi said this over to Abaye, and Abaye then Abaye says, I don't know what you mean. Maybe this is what you meant. And sure enough, Rav Dimi answers back, Karkafna. a sharp one, brilliant one. Chazisei l'reishech be'amudei. Mamish, see your head in between the pillars of the shear, where Rabbi Yochanan was when he gave the shear. I think you nailed it. Okay, that's no. What is that?
Excellent.
Yeah. So steep road. There you go, with the climbing and stuff, and where it's sometimes you even have ropes. Sometimes in some of these roads you have ropes to carry you, of course, to the next part of it. Right. So look at Rashi. V'lo have it right. It's not considered Rishus Rabim. It's not similar. I guess when you say it's not Rishus Rabim, it's not similar to the way things were in the Midbar, which defines Rishus Rabim and Rishus Yachid. So since it's lacking that quality of that easy access, it no longer has its din of Rishus Rabim. But now it's a much more confined, specified kind of situation. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see fully, because the point is, if it's steep, if it's only because it's steep, then why would that not apply to all other places? So Tosas, let's wait on Tosas, because Tosas basically says it's really relying, it's Dafkan Eretz Yisrael because of something that we're going to say later on. So we don't have the full picture really yet as to why this would only apply in Eretz Yisrael. The halacha should be any steep road, right? No matter how busy it might be with people going through it, if it's very narrow, it should not be considered Rishus Rabim. But that seems to be not the case. It seems to be only in Eretz Yisrael. So we'll have to wait and see fully what's going on here. Okay, fine. So Itmar Nami. Okay, another thing we learned similarly. Kiyasar Rav and Rav Yochanan, Ramalei Rav Yochanan. Malus and Modu Sheberetz Yisrael Ein Chayav Olam Mishum Rishus Rabim V'She Ein Kediglei Midbar. So you have it in clearer terms that the steepy roads down and up that are in Eretz Yisrael, if you carry on Shabbos on those roads, you're not going to be chai for carrying Rishus Rabim, because they're not really Rishus Rabim, because they lack the broadness and openness, of what you would normally imagine in the Midbar. It's not Kediglei Midbar, and that seems to be, and again, if you stop right here, you'd say it should apply to any steep road. What's up with steep roads in Eretz Yisrael? Why are you focusing on Eretz Yisrael? So we'll have to wait to uncover that secret. Look at Rashi. Kakafna Bal Hagolgolas Claim Adam Choshev. So Kakafna, I guess the one who has the skull. It's an expression for Adam Choshev. So it was a complimentary terminology. Okay. Amudei shel beis medrash Rabbi Yochanan. Mamish can see. I can either see your head, your face, or Tosa seems to say Reishach Hanu Rabba. I can mamish see your Rebbe saying that, in Rishus, saying those words in Shir. So bottom line is Rav Dimi concurred, because Rabbi never heard the Shir from Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi was sort of speculating what Rabbi Yochanan meant. So when he actually said it, the response was very positive, that either you must have, you were mechavan to Rabbi Yochanan, or your Rebbe, you're mechavan to your Rebbe who heard it from Rabbi Yochanan. But either way, it was a complimentary term that you nailed the halacha. So these steep roads are not considered Rishus Rabim. Why not? She'ein kediglei midbar Rashi. There it's chalaka haisa. It was the road in Eretz Yisrael, in the Midbar by Klai Yisrael, was a very smooth road. Why? Because the Anon, Ani HaKavod, cleared the roads. So it was smooth sailing for the Jewish people. And this is anything but smooth. Here you have all of these,
Now we come from to make it to Eretz Yisrael.
I know, we're talking about the Midbar. It's not like the Diglei Midbar where it was smooth, because you had Denani HaKavod, thank you, and you had Denani HaKavod smoothing out the road. So the Rishus Rabim, where the multitudes traversed in the Midbar, was smooth and open. When it came to now Eretz Yisrael, where things are very steep, it's very different, and it would not qualify. So Rehov Yafo would be one thing, but the roads in the in the Galil there or whatever, that wouldn't work. Those very steep roads. Okay, let's proceed. Boy mine Boi Mine Rechava Meirabba. So now we have a shaila that Rechava asked from Rava, not from Rabba, from Rava, Rabba's student and Abaye's counterpart. Okay, so the shaila is as follows: Tel hamislaket asar mitoch arba. If you have this mound that has the proper slope to really be considered Rishus Hayachid, okay, because right, that guy on top of that mound on picture number 45 is surrounded by walls. I wear the walls. The same thing we said before. If you have a slope down, those walls go straight up. Good achis, and they go straight up, and you are surrounded. So technically, from a certain position, a certain point of view, you are in Rishus Yachid. From another point of view, you've got people walking through that on their way to wherever they want to go. So this is the way to go. Let's say on the road from Yerushalayim to Tel Aviv, you got to go over this Teila Mislaket, but everyone does it, right? So everyone's moving and traveling, as you see all these people. Only want to draw 4 of them, but whatever. These people are using that road, that mound, to traverse the area, and that is the main road. Apparently, that's where everyone goes. So let's see here. So boy minei Rechava meirava tell him saket asar b'toch haba. So you got a 10 tefach incline within 4 amis. Rabban baikim boy, but the multitude basically breaks it and keeps going through it. So the question is nullifying those walls around you. Chayav and Allah mishum rishus rabim olo. Are you chayiv on it because of Rishus Rabim, that because at the bottom, at the end of the day, that is the Yerushalayim to Tel Aviv road, right, just for argument's sake, and therefore it's a busy road that people use to go from one city to the next, and therefore it's Rishus Rabim. Or maybe not. Maybe it's not considered a valid road because it's surrounded by mechitzas. So it sounds like it's sort of a retread of the old issue of does the Baikim Barabim, do the Rabim walking through, does that create enough of an issue, enough of enough of a problem to break the Rishus Hayachid, or do you say no, it doesn't break the Rishus Hayachid, and therefore you're not chayiv on it? I mean, ironically, maybe be chayiv for walking into it because then you have the walls around it. But so that's, I guess. That doesn't seem like to be what the shaila is. The shaila is, does it maintain its status of Rishus Rabbim or not? Okay, right. So okay, period. So I'll leave it Rabbanon. Continuing the Gemara, according to Rabbanon, lo tiboy loch. I would never ask the shaila. According to Rabbanon, it's a no-brainer. Hashtu mahasam nichatash mishtei am Rabbanon lo asur am vatle le mechitzasa. If in our Mishnah where you have smooth sailing, a smooth road, and all you have are these posse bros, those cropped out areas, those L-shaped boards that are your walls, and yet the Rabbanan say that that has a status of Rishus HaYachid, and therefore the Rabbim do not break that Rishus HaYachid, so of course they're not going to break this Rishus HaYachid. If it's a legit Rishus HaYachid with 4 walls because of the slope, the incline that forms valid walls, well, of course the Rabbim are not going to break that. If they're not going to break Pasi Biros, which is so much smoother, which is so much more schleppedik, that you have to walk up the thing and walk down the thing, that's, it's definitely going to not be, Fifth Avenue in December. It's just not going to be that way. It's going to be much more, slower and a little bit more difficult. Okay, so he says, so if the Rabbanon hold,
because of its elevation, or because of the walls?
Yeah. You need the walls, yeah.
So then the elevation really doesn't matter then if you need the walls.
If it wouldn't have been steep enough to classify a wall, even it doesn't matter how high it gets, right?
Well, no, because above a certain height is another.
No, but the steepness makes it that it's not so convenient. In other words, the road that we had by Pasi Bros was open and smooth. So if that can't break the Rishus HaYachid, and it stays Rishus HaYachid, certainly this is going to stay Rishus HaYachid, because here the ability to traverse is that much more tougher because of its incline. So just the incline here just makes it that it's not as smooth, not as easy to traverse the road. So if the Rishus HaRabim can't if the multitudes can't break the walls in that situation, how are they going to break it in this situation? So for sure, it's going to have a status of a Shus HaYachid, and therefore, my shaila was never in the Rabbanan. I know what the story in the Rabbanan is going to be. Okay, here where it's not so easy, lo kol shkein. So my shaila was not in the Rabbanan. It would be a kal v'chomer in the Rabbanan that it's Rishus HaYachid. Ki tiba halacha libod Rabbi Yehuda. My whole shaila is in Rabbi Yehuda. What's halacha kon Rabbi Yehuda? Hasam hu de nichat hashmishtei. Do you say there, where the multitudes going through the Pasi Bros have an easy access, so there they break the walls, and that's why Rabbi Yehuda had to redirect them around the other way, because the Rishus HaYachid is broken by the multitudes. Maybe here it's different, and therefore the rabbim cannot come and nullify the mechitza. Or maybe it's no different. It is what it is. It's the same deal, and therefore the rabbim come and break it. In which case, this is not a rishus. It's not a rishus harabim because it's too difficult. And therefore, it says Rishus HaYachid. And if you carry on top of there, you're not going to be high for carrying 4 amas in Rishus HaRabim.
Because it's too difficult, or just because the people go through it?
No. The people going through it would make it into Rishus HaRabim. The difficulty takes it out of the realm of being Rishus HaRabim because of the fact. I mean, again, it was difficult and not on a slope where it was over. Then you're right. Then that would
It would be that the people are just going through that. Right? I mean, isn't that what?
No, Rabbi Yehuda holds that but if people going through it, maybe only when it's easy. When it's not easy, it wouldn't count. That's exactly the shaila. So Amaleh, he answered back. Rava answered back. It does not matter. Okay, if you have people going through it, chayavin. It's Rishus HaRabim. I don't care that you have the walls. I don't care. Just like by Pasi Bros, he's oblivious to all issues other than the fact that the rabbim do go through. So it's Rishus Rabbim. If it's so steep that the only way to go through it is with a rope, you're going to still call that Rishus Rabbim? Amlayin? Yeah. Beis Maron. Even if it's like literally the steps of Beis Maron, which is also a very steep area in Beit Maron, Amlayin. He said yes, it is. It doesn't matter. In other words, in Rabbi Yehuda, the level of difficulty of traversing does not matter. If the rabbim use that road and it is a place of travel for people to go on, and that is the road that people use, as the level of difficulty doesn't change anything, and it breaks the Rishus HaRabim, and it therefore would be called, it breaks the Rishus HaYachid, and in order to maintain it, right, you have to keep going around, because you can't have people go through there, because that no longer, I mean, that's the irony, it goes both ways. In other words, it is no longer a Rishus HaRabim, and as such, if you went from Rishus HaRabim into that area, then the Chumrah would come out the other way, that it would be going into Rishus HaYachid. And therefore, that's if it was surrounded. I was like, it really depends. In a case by the tel where you're surrounded, it would have a din of Rishus HaYachid. Let's say if there's no surrounding areas, then it just loses its status of Rishus HaRabim, and you'd be putter, and then it would just be a pure kula. Okay, let's catch up on the Rashis here. Chotzer. So what? Even when you're going up in a rope, this is all part of the conversation that Rechava had with Rava, right? So Rava gave an answer, and Rava and Rechava is now asking, you go this far, and you go this far, and he said, yeah, basically, Malos Beis Maron, Zakufin Ma'id. It was very, very steep and high. Umala Kitsara, okay, and it was a very narrow kind of incline, or I guess the steps or the way to go up was very narrow, very not a lot of room. They were they wouldn't even go side by side too, right? Like there it is, right? So one of these, we can remember taking one of these hikes there, and
Snake Trail to Masada.
Yeah, okay, that's a good example. Okay, well that was pretty. That was wider though. That was, I remember you could go. Yeah.
The Snake Trail was only one person.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm thinking about the other trail.
Yeah, on the other side.
The other.
Wide.
Yeah. So,
the original Snake Trail.
Right.
Barely one person.
Right. So that's why I took the wide road, and then I decided to take. I got smart. I took the cable car. Okay.
Wide road.
What?
It's a very wide road.
Yes, yeah, a lot of room in the cable car. So, yeah, you only went one after another, single file, not two to a side. Kedamina Rosh Hashanah, like we say in Rosh Hashanah, Kebnei Moron, Kamal's Beis Moron. So that expression, the famous Kebnei Moron Unasana Tokef, right? We use the words Bnei Moron there. That is referring to this, one by one of the sheep going through. That's why it's called Bnei Moron. Okay, fine. So there you have it. So you have Rava coming out saying that in Rabbi Yehuda, again in the Rabbanon, we know that you can't break it. You can't even break it with a smooth Wilshire Boulevard like street. You can't break the Rishus HaYachid. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, where you do break the Rishus HaRabim, you do break the Rishus HaYachid because it's the fine as Rishus HaRabim. It's even the fine of Rishus HaRabim when it's very, very steep and even single file. Okay, but we're not stopping here. We're not going to be happy with this Eisvei.
So we're saying that if there's this is, it's the equivalent of a regular fence, right? Right. So if it's a totally 100% fenced-in area, and you have your Rishus HaRabim going through there, it's no longer Rishus HaYachid.
That's right. What it would appear.
Right. We're using an elevation, but it would be the same thing with a fence.
Let's see. I mean, the logic what you're saying seems to be. I mean, we haven't really stated that yet. Okay, well, I think we're about to talk about such a case, so we'll see. But logically, you'd say, what's the difference? I mean, you could argue that when you have in other words, so far we either had these outdoor type of cases, right, or we had posse bureaus. But we haven't yet had a legit, four-walled situation of a complete surrounding situation. Let's see.
But isn't it considered like four walls when you have a drop off?
Well, that's one, but that's only one side.
Not this one. The previous mound. The mound.
But it's a natural.
Yeah, isn't that considered a full-fledged partition? The same was going down. The same thing as going up.
Yes. Definitely it's a full-fledged partition. Let's see if the fact that okay, let's see. But real walls make it a little bit different. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Eisvei. So we're on the offense. We're not going to take what Rava said, just sitting down and accepting it, automatically. We're going to see if we can challenge it from some brises. So Eisvei Chotzer Sharab Nechnosin La. But you have a chutzner that a rabbim comes through and uses it as a way to get to the other place. Again, one more time. They come in on one side and they go out the other side. So it's surrounded. You have a picture of that. On the one hand you have walls. On the other hand. Okay, interesting. Okay, I wouldn't have pictured it that way, but okay. So basically, you got to get through to the other side. So you want to continue walking, and I don't know. You get this wall. I don't know how you built the wall in the middle of Rishus HaRabim like that, but you're going from one side of Rishus HaRabim to the other through this chutzner, and you got an opening on one side. You got a break here on this side, and what's your status in terms of the fact that the multitude goes through? Okay, so it's the openings are not quite fully, they're not more than 10 amis, so therefore they're considered legit walls, and here you're surrounded all the way through. What's the story over there? And let's see what the Brisa says. So when it comes to Tumah, they have a din of Rishus HaRabim. When it comes to Tumah does not care about walls. Tumah cares about are people around and people not around. Right? What's the difference? Because we know that Suffolk Tumah, B'Rishus HaRabim, doubt. In Rishus HaRabim, Sveiko Tahar. Suffolk Tumah, Rishus HaYachid, Sveiko Tameh. So the issue of whether or not that's going to be considered Rishus HaRabim, Rishus HaYachid will have very far-reaching implications in the laws of Tumah V'Taira, but they're not at all dependent on walls. They're dependent on are people around, and as long as people around, that has a din of Rishus HaRabim as it relates to Tumah. So it's Rishus HaRabim as it relates to Tumah. And yet, Rishus HaYachal is Shabbos, but Rishus HaYachal relates to Shabbos. So, which means what? That the multitudes come in and they do not change the nature of what's going on. The Rishus HaRabim becomes nullified by the surrounding of the walls. So this seems to contradict Rava's position here. Now, Mani, who's the author of this brisa? Ilaim Rabbanon. If the author of the brisa are the Rabbanon Hashta Umahosam. Now, there's no way that the brisa could be trying to tell me Chiddush in the Rabbanon. Wow, it's